Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode of I Trek. Big shout out to everybody that's been tapping in, man. Hey, I started this channel about 3 years ago, and I do appreciate everybody that came along for the ride, man. And there's no signs of slowing down. And if this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos from all around the internet and evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. But before we get into any of that, do make sure to smash that like button for me. Let's go ahead and run it up 5,000 likes. You hit that hype button and smash that subscribe button if you're not already a part of the iTrack fan, man. And let's go ahead and jump right into it.
US has pulled off one of the most insane rescue missions in military history, but it nearly ended in disaster. This situation started when an F-15 fighter jet was brought down deep inside Iranian territory. Within minutes, the entirety of Iran was mobilized to find and capture the 2 American airmen on board. Luckily, the pilot was confirmed to have safely ejected and was immediately extracted, but the second soldier, a weapons specialist, could not be initially located. In response, hundreds of special operation troops were activated with the sole mission of finding him before Iran did, and as it turns out, the soldier was able to safely eject and had climbed atop a nearby ridge where he set off a secure rescue beacon. An elite commando squad was deployed to extract him, but the mission quickly ran into trouble when their transport planes got stuck. Things then went from bad to worse when Iranian ground troops identified their position and swarmed the area. However, despite coming under intense fire, the elite squad was able to hold their ground until reinforcements arrived, ultimately rescuing the soldier without suffering a single casualty.
We're going to be involved in a drill, an emergency drill, on Thursday, April 2nd. This is critical. This is important. This is literally a matter of life and death.
Say what?
And that's not an overstatement of the role of warning systems in receiving these messages.
What is happening? Oh.
They can save your life, and they can save those you love.
What's going on? Doctor? I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done. Take me off.
We have some of the latest images to share with you. If you could call up the first image. This first one we got to the ground shows the unique vantage point of the crew as they look back at the Earth. It shows a backlit Earth revealing auroras as the crew heads towards the moon. It was taken by Reed Wiseman out of an Orion window, and it features 2 auroras, top right and left and bottom left, and zodiacal light, which is at the bottom right. It's visible as the Earth eclipses to sun. You know, it's great to think that with the exception of our 4 friends, all of us are represented in this image. You could call up the next image, please. This one shows Earth, as you can see, the Terminator line. And Reed also took this photo after translunar injection burn yesterday. What in a...
Now, my eyes have deceived me before, but that looks like CGI if I'm not mistaken. Definitely drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think that is.
People are comparing the photos of Earth from the Artemis photo shoot to a photo shoot that was taken 54 years ago from the Apollo 17 mission. And people are wondering what is going on, because Earth looks completely washed out versus the photo from 54 years ago looks rich in color and absolutely beautiful. People think that something bad has happened to our planet. But what really is going on is the Apollo 17 used actual film cameras, which naturally boost the color and contrast, and the Artemis team decided to use a Nikon D5 digital camera. So it's just not going to give it the same color and look. And when they took that shot 54 years ago, the sun was perfectly lighting Earth, making it look beautiful and blue. Whereas the Artemis photo was taken at an angle where the sun was actually partially behind Earth, kind of washes it out a little bit. And since the Artemis has been posting photos from space, a lot of photos that look like this of the moon are being posted by different photographers that make it look absolutely delicious. But they are real photos that have been altered, and we are still waiting for the actual photos from the Artemis of the moon, which will take place on April 6th during a planned multi-hour lunar flyby of the moon's surface.
Basically, from what I understand, virtual reality, you can play a horror game in your own home where it's overlaying the game in your house. And to me, that just feels like there's some kind of at least indirect connection to another realm that when you're playing with this, the other side sees and might take advantage of the situation. I could go into so many different things with this, but they could start attacking you in your dreams where you believe that you're still playing the game. Only the game in your dream is actually an attack happening to you for real. They could also start playing on your sanity, where you're no longer wearing the goggles. Maybe you took them off to take a breather, and you start seeing things in your house. And you're like, wait, hold on. That's supposed to be just on there. And now you're wondering, are you going crazy? Are you actually seeing it? What's happening, right? And so that's what I mean. I feel like there's going to be a bag opened with this kind of stuff that will lead to other things.
I mean, he makes a good point, but there are plenty of games out right now that'll give you nightmares. One game I played back in the day, Doom. I don't know if you ever played Doom before, but that game was pretty medieval.
This is the fastest bullet train in the world. It's called the Alpha X, and it can travel between 250 to 300 miles per hour. One of the most visually interesting things about this train is that it has a 72-foot nose with the purpose of reducing tunnel pressure and wind resistance, and even noise. So the way this train works is that it begins by running on wheels, but then once it reaches a certain speed, those wheels retract, and then the only thing between the train and the track is magnetic fields. This train is running on magnetism. Or more specifically, this train is floating on magnetism, literally preventing any sort of rail friction whatsoever, which is one of the reasons it can go so fast. Some other facts about this train is that it cost over $90 million to build. This train is absolutely incredible.
That looks like quite possibly the most dangerous water slide I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna pass, but are you trying it?
This video shows you what an orca does when it sees a human, as they have to make sure whether or not they're looking at a prey, and since these are some of the most intelligent animals in the world, they have no problem popping out the water to peek at you to realize you're not a seal. Now they'll do this multiple times and from different angles, and the entire pod of orcas will check you out and communicate whether or not they should attack. This behavior is known as spy hopping.
Like so many other things, the stuff of science fiction is becoming reality. This week in the Netherlands, scientists unveiled a leather handbag that is derived from dinosaur DNA. The material was made with collagen from a Tyrannosaurus rex combined with other animal cells. This was done to demonstrate Kelly just looked up. She said, "What?" This was done to demonstrate the value of lab-grown leather. The companies behind this previously collaborated on a meatball made using DNA from a woolly mammoth. The leather bag will be on display under a T-Rex skeleton in Amsterdam until next month, and then it goes up for auction. The starting price is $500,000.
What if some people are alien-human hybrids and are being chosen to help with disclosure? I think Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day is doing something very specific. Not just entertainment, but preparation. One of the parts in the trailer that was really fascinating is when the woman asks, "Are they people?" And the man responds, "No." What does that mean? What is a human-alien hybrid? Something extraterrestrial and human. This has long been rumored that that is the true origin of humanity. Emily Blunt's character is definitely a hybrid. I'm calling it now.
What's happening to me?
Emily Blunt's character is taken as a child, almost like a fairy tale. But as an adult, she's not just remembering, she's channeling something. Where have we seen this before? So are they discovering this, or are they being activated? What's the deal?
I'm a part of it now. I'm just sorry they made you a part of it too.
Encounters start young, and then later, People feel driven. They're filled with some sort of greater purpose that they have to carry out. This film is going to disclose a bunch of different things, not just alien-human hybrids, but other technologies that the government is hiding from us, including what looks like in the film is holographic technology. Is this tied to remote viewing? What are the chances that Spielberg is a hybrid? We got holographic technology, remote viewing, alien-human hybrids? What is this, an ad for Gaia? Do you feel like you've been chosen? Because there's many people out there with that same feeling. Are you one of the chosen ones?
Okay, so serious question. What happened to the dragons and why do they want us to believe so much that they never existed? I just went down a rabbit hole and there is an article from 1882 from the Los Angeles Times. This article describes a train leaving Los Angeles going through Don Palmas to head to Arizona being attacked by a 30-foot flying serpent, a dragon with 6 wings, 30 feet long, 12 inches in diameter, attacking this train. How is it possible that this would occur and it would be posted on multiple media outlets? There would be different accounts, and not just that, this wasn't a one-time incident. Throughout the 1800s, there were multiple accounts of flying serpents, of dragons being in existence and attacking different things or just being seen in the skies. Yet we're told that they never existed. And if you take it a step further, dragons were mentioned in the Bible. Not just that, in Sumerian history, in Egyptian history, in Chinese history, dragons have been mentioned. In fact, dragons have been mentioned for over 6,000 years, and they're the only animal in the Chinese calendar that's said to be fictional, even though they play a major part in their culture. So the question isn't just what happened to the dragons, but why do they want us to believe that this flying serpent that they say had 6 wings, that could be hundreds of feet long, that could be huge, breathing out fire, why do they want us to believe that they never existed? And where did they go? Let me know if you guys ever saw this article. Let me know what you think about this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, save this video, go look into it. Look into the 1800s, look at the history of the dragons, come back, share your thoughts. Per usual, these are my personal opinions. This is all alleged. Can't confirm or deny any information, but I definitely implore you to do your research. Whatever else I find out, I'll be back. Like, follow, stay for some more tea. And if you like interesting topics like this, grab your copy of 50 Forbidden Mysteries. Link is in the bio, and feel free to join the private group chat.
In which NASA releases approximately 450,000 gallons of water just before launching its rocket. But why? This is not done to cool the rocket or protect it from fire. Instead, whenever NASA, or any space agency in the world, launches a large rocket, it releases about 1.7 million liters of water just before liftoff, all within 1 minute. This is because a rocket launch produces an extremely powerful sound, with noise levels exceeding 180 decibels, which can easily crack concrete and even shake the launch pad. That's why a massive flood of water is released beneath and around the rocket, allowing the water and the steam it generates to absorb these sound waves.
What happens when the world runs out of oil? We don't have to guess. It already happened. Back in the 1970s, a crisis in the Middle East sent oil prices through the roof and the global economy into chaos. Sound familiar? The impact was felt everywhere. In the US, President Nixon told people to turn their heating down to 20 degrees Celsius. Businesses cut work hours and police even stopped routine patrols to save fuel, instead patrolling on foot. Daylight saving was even introduced to conserve energy. In the UK, driving was banned on Sundays. Australia rationed fuel. You were only allowed to fill up on specific days based on whether your number plate ended in an odd or even number. And in India, even the Prime Minister used a horse-drawn carriage to get around. When oil prices surged, everything else became more expensive. Now, for decades, the US has had 2 key priorities in the Middle East: protect Israel's security and keep oil flowing through critical routes like the Strait of Hormuz. After the repercussions of the 1970s oil crisis, the US wanted to ensure it never happened again, carefully balancing those 2 key priorities. For years, leaders resisted actions that could threaten oil supply, even when pressured to prioritize Israel's security, until recently. Donald Trump broke from that pattern, backing moves in the region that risked disrupting oil flows without fully preparing the global economy for the consequences.
And you know what? This just further confirms that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is just a cycle, and it's just our turn to experience it.
This photo was taken at 3 a.m. at the Pitts family's front door in West Chicago. The photo was captured by the family's Ring doorbell that was set off by the motion of this strange figure. What do you think?
Austin, extreme alert. Tampa, Florida, critical priority. This is the map map that has been circulating around social media giving us updated information as of March 2026. Sleeper cells in America, locations of concern, based on 2024-2026 indictments, FBI, JTTF investigations, and DHS Homeland Threat assessments. You can see here in red the ones that are saying to be on the lookout right now. You also have on the East Coast, Miami and Tampa, Florida, Washington, D.C., North Virginia, Newark, Patterson, Boston, New York City, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Chicago, Minneapolis, on the West Coast, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, Irvine, San Diego. These are the ones that are of major concern right now. Threat summary for the region as of March 2026. Florida areas, Southwest, West Coast, Northeast. Note, sleeper may also include some cyber operatives as well. Criminal proxies and unregistered agents.
Why is it that people who survive near-death experiences often report feeling like an invisible person guided them through it? Third man syndrome was first described by Ernest Shackleton and his crew. After their ship was trapped in ice, 3 members of the crew made a 36-hour trek across Antarctica, over mountains and glaciers to find help. And miraculously, every single one of them survived. They described the experience as feeling a strange sense of peace and clarity, and it was as if someone else had taken control of the situation. In the years since, third man syndrome has been reported by those in catastrophic climbing accidents, natural disasters, car accidents, and more, and is often associated with hearing or sensing instructions many will later attribute to their survival. And while some may say it feels like a supernatural force, most scientists think this is a survival mechanism your brain activates under extreme conditions.
Don't you think it's a bit strange that in the movie The Terminator, it's very similar to that of The Matrix, where humans create AI. AI becomes self-aware and then perceives humanity as a threat. And in Terminator, after that happens, humans panic and try to unplug it, and that's when it launches nukes and shuts everything down. Then in The Matrix, AI goes rogue. They decide to block out the sun because AI was being powered by the sun. Then, when there's no sunlight, AI goes, oh, let's just get our energy from humans, and that's when they make those human farms, which is very strange. But in Terminator, it's set between the year 2004 and 2029, where Judgment Day happens, and the machines go against and start unaliving bajillions of humans. I just find it interesting that at the same time, they're literally mass producing now humanoid AI robots. We also have the movie I, Robot. So many movies about AI wanting to enslave and control humanity. But yet people are sleepwalking into this whole thing right now. So is this predictive programming, or is this something we are going to witness whether we like it or not? But in the end, we prevail. I'm sure we will prevail, but how strange is it going to get between now and then?
I mean, it's pretty clear. The Simpsons was our first taste of predictive programming. All the coincidences in the show happened way too many times for it to even be a coincidence. So to see the Terminator, I, Robot, and so many other movies depict what's actually happening right now, I think we know what's going on.
He goes jet skiing when he encounters this. A man is seen riding through the open water when suddenly he feels like something is following him. The kind of feeling that makes your heart drop. He grabs his phone and starts to record, and that's when it appears what looks to be a mermaid-like figure cutting through the water right behind him. Panic instantly kicks in. Fueled by pure adrenaline, he throttles the jet ski to try to escape what is chasing him. But the thing doesn't seem to slow down. Some comments said that it's a rare sea creature, while others say that it's something more unexplainable. What do you think this was? And why was it after him like that? Leave a comment.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that's some kind of a demon fish.
Guys, this is your update. The Artemis crew just released their first photos of Earth from the Orion capsule, and they are currently approaching 100,000 miles away from home right now. So last night, the crew fired the engine for just under 6 minutes, and NASA described the entire burn as flawless. For the first time since 1972, humans have officially left Earth's orbit and are now on their way to the moon. The crew has been glued to the windows ever since. Commander Wiseman said that there isn't anything anything normal about this, that sending 4 humans 250,000 miles away is a Herculean effort.
And I gotta tell you, there is nothing normal about this. Sending 4 humans 250,000 miles away is a Herculean effort.
Christina said that absolutely nothing prepares you for seeing your home planet lit up bright as day from the middle of space.
Nothing that prepares you for the breathtaking aspect of seeing your home planet both lit up bright as day and also the moon glow on it at night with the beautiful beam of the sunset.
And NASA just released the first high-quality photos of Earth taken from inside of the Orion capsule. This is what our planet looks like whenever you're over 100,000 miles away from it and still getting further by the hour. This is incredible. Right now, they're working out 30 minutes a day on a flywheel to keep their muscles from deteriorating while they're in space. Make sure that you go ahead and follow me right now because I will be here every single day with updates until they are home.
In a dream, everything is made up of consciousness. Nothing is appearing outside the dreamer's mind. And that's similar to reality from a non-dual perspective. Everything is made up of consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. So reality is like God's dream. The material world appears within it the same way a dream appears within your mind when you're sleeping. So consciousness is dreaming itself into an entire universe of seemingly separate things it experiences, but it's all made of the same awareness, God's dream.
Representative Burchett just said that we should be terrified about what's about to come out with aliens and what he's been briefed on, and we should demand answers. This is wild.
I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by
Listen to this.
just about every alphabet agency there is. And
he's going to spill it.
I'll just tell you this. If they would release the things that I've seen,
Couldn't handle it.
you would stay up. You'd be up at night
Bingo.
worrying about or thinking about this stuff.
Y'all have no
We
idea.
just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. The
Out
brief
now.
Last week on an issue, it would have set the earth on.
Y'all
this
can't handle
country
it.
would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all
You're
that I
almost
heard.
ready.
They would demand answers.
There it is.
And we need to.
And although I don't think he's wrong, I just want to remind people, just as much as there are negative things on the planet, there is also so much light. There are ill-intended humans and there are well-intended. In my opinion, it's the same with aliens, knowing what I know from working with them and being somebody who I think is a hybrid or isn't fully human, like many of you. What do you guys think?
An actual uniformed member of the United States Army briefed me on that. Like between 6 and 12 locations around the country, biologics that are not human. They couldn't identify a human source of those biologics. I mean, I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. I had a guy who was uniformed. He was a senior enlisted with the United States Army, came into my office in Crestview, Florida, in a non-classified setting. I had members of my staff there. And what they explained is that the military ran a very secret program where aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants. Now, again, I didn't verify this, but what the whistleblower was telling me is that there were like between 6 and 12 locations around the country where this happened. And what he wanted was a group, members of Congress, to all show up at the same time at all of these different locations so that any of those activities could not be moved. And of course, it's a physical impossibility to get members of Congress to simultaneously show up at like 8 locations at one time. And so that never occurred.
What do you mean non-human biologics? Like this?
Well, that was the testimony of David Grush before the House Oversight Committee, which I joined, and the testimony was that in crashes of craft that had been recovered by the CIA and through a special program that the CIA had for crash recovery, that it wasn't just the hard materials; it was also biologics, but that they couldn't identify a human source of those biologics.
Hey, leave it to mankind to force aliens to breed with human beings. Only human beings would do something like that. And what human is volunteering to have alien babies? I mean, there's a lot going on. They definitely got to let us know sooner than later.
School doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter how well you do in school. If your parents are rich, you'll be successful in life. If your parents are poor, you will not be successful in life.
What does he look like?
He's a hybrid being. And if you know anything about alien abduction,
A little bit.
you know what the grays look like?
Yeah.
50-50 between us and a gray. Hybrid. So 5 feet tall on average, relatively slender, skin about this white, eyes larger than ours, ears, nose, mouth smaller than ours, head a little larger. Males don't have hair, females do, tends to be white, very slender. Typical hybrid extraterrestrial.
Florida man claims to have been kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build an underwater city. The man was found early Monday morning on the side of a beach in Lee County, soaking wet, dehydrated, and confused. When deputies arrived, he was drawing detailed diagrams in the sand. According to the man, a pod of dolphins took him while he was swimming and brought him to a place about 40 feet under the surface. He said they forced him to help build underwater structures. He told deputies the dolphins communicated with him using clicks. He said the group had a leader named Gerald who somehow helped him breathe underwater, possibly by creating an airspace. The man spent 3 days working on what he described as cities, towns, and condo-like structures. When the dolphins were satisfied with his work, they sent him back to the surface and told him they would return for phase 2. Medical staff treated him for dehydration, but found no signs of head injury or mental confusion. Tests showed seawater and marine particles in his lungs, suggesting he had been deep underwater for a long time without typical lung damage. This was unusual and raised questions for doctors. The man holds a master's degree in aerospace engineering and has experience with deep-sea technology, which he says is why the dolphins chose him. Some people think the story is false, but the physical evidence has made others curious. Let me know what you think.
I've seen this story a few times in social media passing, and it just seems so wild to me that I never really took time to really deep think about it. But do you think he's capping, or do you think that this is a possibility?
You know, at this point in time, watching Joe Rogan be fake shocked when his guests bring up the fact that we're now in a tech oligarchy, when every other week you have one of the tech oligarchs on your show. Oh my God, I never knew Palantir was doing the things that you're saying right now. I never knew that tech billionaires were controlling every aspect of our government, including Congress and bills being passed. It's not like when, I was invited to the inauguration, every tech billionaire, left and right, were sitting there with me. Let me complain on my podcast all the time that they're taking away our freedoms of speech, but at the same time having those tech leaders who own those social media platforms on my podcast. And of course I'm not going to ask them any hard questions whatsoever. And what do you mean I've never noticed these dinners that keep happening at the White House with all these tech leaders? And Joe, you can bring up the fact that that Palantir has facial recognition all over the place. But I'm going to sit here and be shocked when someone on my show brings up the fact that they could use it for nefarious reasons. Because you totally didn't have a softball set down with Peter Thiel. No, that could have never happened. I guess if we really want to understand why he acts fake surprised, we could probably easily pull up a list of his sponsors and look at who owns those companies.
The military just launched this new robot that, you guessed it, is going to the front line. This is called Phantom. It's about 5'11", 170 pounds, and it will be having a gun. I don't know if you've ever played any video games or anything, but we're living in hell. Compare that with shit like this. Military helmet that lets you see through. You start to realize, yeah, this is going to get very bad very quickly. Hey, you can buy this shit right now for 130 bands. Yeah, robots will be in the war here very soon.
Fun fact of the day. The hinged plastic Easter egg was patented by Irwin and Donald Wader in 1978.
This underwater sinkhole is so deep that just at 90 meters, oxygen disappears completely, and it becomes a layer of water that's so toxic that it kills anything instantly, and anything that sinks past that point is preserved forever. This is the Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize, and it's perfectly circular, over 300 meters wide and 125 meters deep. And from above, it looks like a massive dark blue circle in turquoise water. But here's what makes this absolutely terrifying. At around 90 meters, oxygen disappears completely. Below that depth, nothing can survive and nothing decomposes. It's called the anoxic layer, and below that is a layer of hydrogen sulfide, which kills you instantly. In 2018, a billionaire called Richard Branson funded a submarine expedition to the bottom of this hole. The submarine carried scientists and cameras to document what was down there, but what they found was absolutely horrifying. There were 2 human bodies, a GoPro, and a plastic water bottle from the 1960s, all of which were perfectly preserved. There's no bacteria and no scavengers, so nothing could break them down. So how did this place come to be? Well, the Great Blue Hole is actually an ancient cave system. It was formed around 150,000 years ago during the Ice Age, which is when sea levels were about 400 feet lower than they currently are. The cave was on dry land, and when sea levels rose again, the cave flooded and the roof eventually collapsed, which created this massive circular hole. Currently, it's listed as a top 5 scuba diving destination, and divers can explore the upper layers. But going beneath 90 meters is a death sentence, so no one does it. But what do you think of this? Would you dive in the Great Blue Hole? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
If Trump wins the presidency, then it's most likely that he will start a war against Iran. Okay, that's what I think. I think it will be Trump who initiates the war, and I think that it will happen maybe 2 years from now. Maybe 2 years from now. Maybe 2 years from now.
Remember this?
Gresh never said extraterrestrial or alien, he said interdimensional.
And this one.
They are dropping out of linear space-time and traversing other dimensions. So some of the phenomenon that's extraterrestrial looks very, very close to something from another dimension.
And of course this one.
The theory is that what we're looking at here is something that can literally move interdimensionally.
And this.
It's just like we're thinking so different. And I think an advanced intelligence is manipulating frequency, electromagnetics, gravity when it applies, time, and consciousness. I don't look at this and think ET. I look at these as displacement craft that are coming from parallel realities.
Whatever happened to that?
Whatever you do, don't touch it. That creepy little fish has more weapons than Batman. Meet the Stargazer. First off, it's an ambush hunter with nearly perfect camouflage. That's already a deadly combo. And they combine that with one of the fastest strikes in the animal kingdom. Like they could go from a stop position to completely swallowing their prey faster than you could blink. Literally. Oh, and they also have a fake worm in their mouth that they use to lure fish in straight to the shadow realm. It's really unfair, but no worries. It gets worse. Since they're basically invisible, they're really easy to step on, which is a huge problem because running all the way down their back and sides are venomous spines. And a sting by one of them is said to be one of the most painful in the animal kingdom. Like you could go into shock. Oh yeah, speaking of shock, did I mention that they also wield the power of electricity? Like the electric eel, they have the ability to electrocute their prey with enough power to completely knock it out. That is, if they don't, how do the kids say it? Send it to a better place. Moral of the story, the next time you're on a beach, beware of that face looking at you from the sand. You don't want those problems. And as always, follow for more facts.
Buried monuments to be hidden in plain sight as natural phenomena, you start to realize everything they've taught us about ancient history is just a cope. Here are just a few archaeological sites from around the world before they were excavated and after. This is the pyramid of Teotihuacan in Mexico. Before they dug it up in the 1900s, it looked like this. Just an oddly shaped hill, kind of like those hills in China they promise us are just hills and definitely not pyramids. Or the hidden pyramid of the sun in Bosnia, which again they insist is just a hill. And if you think otherwise, you're a fraud and a con artist. Here is the pyramid of Teotihuacan today, one of the largest structures in all of Mesoamerica. Once a totally natural hill, now a sprawling complex of stone megastructures that we still have no idea who or how they were even built. Anyone who claims they know is just coping. Here's another before and after of the same structure, also known as the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan, and it literally just looked like a grassy hill. Even all of these smaller structures laying around the main pyramid were all completely buried underground. An entire ancient city complex hidden as a natural geological formation for hundreds of years. And it seems like our entire world is built on top of sites like these. Like the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico as well, which barely even resembled a hill, just a natural outcropping of the ground pre-excavation. That later turned out to be the biggest known pyramid in the world by sheer volume. It may not look like it, but it's an absolute chode, insanely wide at almost half a kilometer at its base. Now, the hidden Pyramid of the Sun in Bosnia Mesopotamia would be bigger if it turned out to be a pyramid, but no, that's fake. Don't look at that. That one's just a hill, remember? The world-famous Chichen Itza looked just like a rickety little mud hut on top of a mound before it was fully uncovered as one of the greatest pyramids of the Mayan civilization. Same with the Temple of the Great Jaguar in Tikal in Guatemala. At first, just a little stub sticking out from the jungle overgrowth, and of course, a whole-ass pyramid underneath. If monuments like these are this hidden after just a couple hundred years, imagine how much more they'd be after a few thousand. Here's before and after the excavation of an ancient Greek stadium, which kinda just looked like an empty field that slightly dipped inwards before the rows of seats and central playing area were fully revealed. The Temple of Artemis in Turkey, only 2 pillars barely visible before more were excavated and an entire courtyard uncovered beneath. The Ephesus Theater didn't even remotely resemble anything man-made, just the most natural-looking hill I've ever seen. And lo and behold, laying under it was a massive ancient theater complex, complete with the center stage, rows of seats, pillars, stairs, the whole 9 yards. This is an ancient library from the Hellenistic era, again initially just 2 small pillars, turned out to be an entire foundation of a building and even more sprawling remains all around it, all buried underground. This other theater in Turkey, you could kinda tell there was something going on under here, but never would you imagine it would be another courtyard this massive. Speaking of Turkey, we of course have the world famous Göbekli Tepe, which was completely invisible before unveiling the oldest known ancient site in the world, at over 12,000 years old, utterly shattering our mainstream understanding of history. And now the elites at the WEF and other mainstream archaeologists are doing everything they can to downplay it and make sure it stays hidden. For real, that's actually happening. Not a conspiracy, I even made a video on it, check it out after if you want. Here's the Ziggurat of Ur in Iraq, which again just looked like an oddly shaped mound with suspicious looking edges and angles before it was dug out, revealing quite possibly the most significant monumentous structure in all of Mesopotamia. Kinda looked like something you'd see in, I don't know, Utah or the Grand Canyon, but those are definitely just natural formations, oh 100%. Or the underwater Yonaguni monument off the coast of Japan, which is clearly just a natural geological phenomenon. Yeah, I know, that's literally what they say it is, and somehow we're the crazy ones. Of course, the Sphinx, being in Egypt, was covered up to its shoulders in sand prior to excavation. This one was admittedly a lot more visible as there aren't any trees or plant coverage in the desert like there is in the Amazon, which tends to completely bury man-made structures after only a few years, and is also kind of the reason the most well-known, commonly studied ancient civilizations are almost always in the desert. Not necessarily because that's where they all came from, but simply because it's easier to spot buried sites in the sand than it is in the jungle, like Machu Picchu, which was practically entirely covered with plant overgrowth before, like you couldn't even see anything there, only to reveal a sprawling village of structures, buildings, walls, and walkways beneath the foliage, all on top of a mountain no less. Really makes you think what else is hidden out there and what else they're promising us are just natural formations when we've barely even grazed the tip. Like, if all of these were this hidden before getting excavated, what makes us insist on knowing that these aren't? Co-parter in the comments if you disagree.
It definitely speaks volumes as to what was going on in our past, but there's a few pyramids that they care about more than others, and that's what I would want to shed some light on. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for always stopping by, watching, and learning with me, especially on this beautiful Sunday. If you haven't already, do me a favor and smash that like button, man. Let's go ahead and run it up 5,000 likes. Hit that hype button for me and hit that subscribe button if you're not a part of the iTrack fam, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.